GM, everybody, welcome to the show. It's Tuesday, 29th. Let's get into it. And we've seen Bitcoin push up over the last day. We spoke about this in the last video that actually this path could end up being a little bit higher. So we can actually, I think, probably move that up. I'm still expecting some consolidation into the election and, sort of breakout happening really towards the end of November. I think in terms of the timing of this, probably is around the middle of November that we actually see this. But what we seem to be seeing now is continued momentum for Trump. Obviously, the election is now starting to take center stage in terms of the macro environment, in terms of affecting what the markets are doing. And I think that's becoming quite evident that the market is starting to price in a Trump win. Trump has obviously come out and said he's the crypto president. He's going to deliver favorable conditions for Bitcoin. He's talked about having a sovereign strategic reserve, not selling off any more of US government seized Bitcoin and actually creating a Bitcoin reserve. So this is obviously something that the market will start to price in now. And I'm personally thinking what we might now see is if everything does go to plan and Trump does indeed win the election, is some sort of sell-off potentially after the election, some maybe not a major sell-off, but maybe like a sort of sharp wick down, probably to backtest this broken trend line at around 69K area, liquidate some overexcited longs, and then a little bit of stabilization, and then for us to take off later in November. That is my preferred path at the moment, just based on everything that is going on. So I'm not expecting us to go up too high. Obviously, we could continue this, but I think we're probably at around 72K. I mentioned yesterday is probably an area that we come into and look to potentially consolidate at. And this could end up being a bit of a buy the rumor, sell the news event. However, I'm not expecting us to fully price in the election because, of course, we can't know with certainty what the election result's going to be. So there's still going to be some doubt. There's still going to be some uncertainty. And I'll probably compare it to the time that the Fed started to cut interest rates. So it was around it was before then. It was around here, I believe, around the 19th of September, where the Fed last cut interest rates. And obviously we saw this big move, and then we came back to eventually retest that level. And I don't know, potentially we could get a pump on the actual announcement. We could go higher, then we could come back to retest whatever level we're at prior to the election result, and then we might take off. But yeah, the overall view hasn't changed. I mentioned yesterday, very bullish on Bitcoin, really expecting Bitcoin to perform well over the next quarter into year end, probably throughout Q1 as well. I think this breakout will be absolutely significant. Like I say, this has been months and months of consolidating, and obviously this is a major consolidation that is now starting to resolve higher. If I just go back over to my slightly messier chart, I have cleaned it up a bit. You can see that I was following this sort of bull flag, and obviously it's a multi-month bull flag, large consolidation. I did a few months ago draw this box up here, and I expected price to go into it, and this is back down in August and September time when everyone was starting to panic. People were calling for much lower prices. I did have it as a complete worst case scenario that we could come down to 42K, but really that would have needed to be validated by a close under the August low, which we never actually got. We put in a higher low. We started to then hold this 50-week moving average, I believe that is. And that's something that we'd held previously as support in bull markets. I believe it was in the last bull market that when we came off in early 2021, we actually held that as support. We never actually closed below it. We did close on it, but then we recovered. So I was really looking for this area to hold, and it did hold. And I said, unless we actually get below this moving average, it's impossible for me to get bearish on Bitcoin here. So that kept me bullish. That kept me in this trade looking for higher prices. And it looks like we are actually going to reach my target, albeit sort of like a November target. So I'm pretty happy that that has played out to plan. And like I say, look, things are looking good. This is exactly what you want to see. We've broken out from this channel. We've made successful retests. We've seen buying step in, and now we're starting to push higher. I mean, there's nothing really here that is giving me large cause for concern right now. And I just think, look, the market will really start to get going after the election. Obviously, we've seen Ethereum get back into its channel that it kind of came below, held its 200-week moving average. So I do think at some point Ethereum will look to catch up and will come back up into well, probably into the highs of the year. Typically, Ethereum tends to outperform in Q1. So Bitcoin is its strongest quarters in Q4. Ethereum's strongest quarters in Q1. So I'd expect to see Bitcoin leading this market higher, pushing on to higher prices, breaking out, and I would expect Ethereum then to start to catch up, probably with a 1 to 2 month lag. And that's when we should really start to see the altcoins explode and start to outperform. Obviously, we looked yesterday also at Solana. We said Solana is now coming into this diagonal sloping trend line as an area of resistance. I'd expect Solana to get through this trend line and make its way up probably to the next trend line, which will be its most recent swing high. Potentially that could happen pre-election, and then we get some consolidation in line with what Bitcoin's doing before we see Solana then break and go for its all-time highs, which we said before, above 260. So I do think Solana is likely to outperform when Bitcoin gets to all-time highs and when everything starts to go parabolic. And if we just look at Bitcoin dominance as well, because I believe that this is very relevant right now, we can see that Bitcoin dominance continues to go higher. This is actually healthy for the market, very, very healthy for the market. You want to see Bitcoin lead the breakout. And you can see here that Bitcoin's on the verge of making fresh daily highs. And we could go as high as this 62.79% level. And if we can just come back and look at what that level's been, we can see these are just sort of horizontal, significant levels of support resistance, either as we sort of found lows at these areas or we found highs at these areas. I mean, right now we're testing the 618. So again, this is quite a significant level. We're not quite there actually yet. We've got about a little bit more room to go. I'd call that 60.5. We're currently at 59.73. So potentially on a breakout of Bitcoin to new all-time highs, we come into that 60 to 61% level, and then we could wick through higher, but it's likely we probably start to plateau there, and altcoins then start to make their move and look to catch up. And just looking quickly at the stock market as well. So stocks are looking very healthy, basically on all-time highs for the S&P. The NASDAQ is very close to them as well. And looking at the dollar, we're saying we were expecting the dollar to find a little bit of resistance at this 618 level, this golden pocket, and that seems to be taking place so far. And obviously, the Fed are priced to do a 25% basis cut next week. I expect that will happen. I think it's currently priced at something like 97 or 98% chance of being a 25 basis point cut. We've got unemployment data later this week as well. But I really think that irrespective of what the employment data is, we'll get the 25% basis point cut. I'd go as far to say is actually a strong unemployment number would be better than a weak one. I know in the past, usually you like to see a weaker number because this gives more of an incentive for the Fed to actually make cuts. But I think in the current climate, given the current environment, the Fed have to decrease rates anyway. The dollar has got stronger, as we can see, against relative currencies. Other global banks are now starting to cut their rates. And the Fed want to keep in line with that. They want to remain competitive when it comes to the economy, when it comes to exports. It's negative to have such a strong currency, but also they're paying a lot of money on their debt as well, don't forget. So they can't maintain high interest rates for a long time. They've currently got fairly high interest rates comparatively to the rest of the globe. So I do think that the Fed will maintain their cutting cycle given the risks to the economy right now. And that, in my opinion, will be a done deal. So I'd like to, if anything, see decent jobs numbers and the Fed to probably cut more slowly than to see a complete, crashing economy and then the Fed to have to start making knee-jerk cuts. So I think we are in a good place, macro-wise, economic-wise. Obviously, key focus right now is on the election. Let's see how that plays out. We've only got a week to go now, so it's getting very close. But certainly, just to recap on Bitcoin, things are looking very strong. Obviously, I said yesterday I was very bullish on Bitcoin, that the market was looking great. And it looks like we are playing out as we expect the price to be playing out right here. So no real concerns as long as we're above 68K. Like I say, there might be some volatility going into next week with the election, and potentially there could be some volatility just after. Obviously, it goes without saying, if Trump does not win, this would not be good, and we might see a deeper correction, potentially down to either 64K, potentially tagging this trend line, or coming a little bit lower to 60K again. But I think at the moment, all the data is showing that actually Trump has the momentum and is expected to win. And it looks like that's what the market's pricing in right now. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And I will talk to you all again tomorrow.